I'll wait till I fall in love. Anthony Hamilton. I'll wait until I fall in love. Nice song, nice song. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, author, and educator. I pray everything is well with you. And so, happy Friday. And so, man, I hope that you are looking forward to the weekend. I am. I am traveling up to New York today. First time since my mom passed last June, but actually, I did not. This will be the first time I'm coming home. And my mom passed last June. I have not been home in 3 years. And so, no, I did not go to my mother's funeral, but I'll talk about that in a second. If you're watching this, and let's see, we're going to like this, we're going to share this, and we're going to tag 3 people because my wife, my daughter, and my partner Adam is traveling with me. So we're going to tag 3 people today. So like this post, share this post, and tag 3 people. Okay, I'm gonna try to not get emotional. Big guys get emotional too. But before I do that, let me give a shout out to the sponsors. Shout out to Chef Danielle Moore. She is the owner and operator of Ethel and Annie Mae's Soul Food Kitchen, which I will be stopping by this weekend to support you. Why? Because I love your food, love you, but also more importantly, you support me. So I got to turn around and give that support back because we have to support those who support us. But more importantly, I know who Chef is as a person, and I love what she's doing. Ethel and Annie Mae's Soul Food Kitchen, 497 Albany Avenue in the Crown Heights section of Brooklyn. So my Brooklyn folks, Queens folks, Manhattan, Staten Island, and the Bronx, make sure you support this sister. Let's stop playing. We spend enough money on other stuff. Let's support those who's really grinding. And here's the beautiful thing. She gives back to her community. Trust me when I tell you. And she supports others, and we need to do that. Also, I want to personally take a picture of the bench. You hear me talk about the bench all the time. It is because that bench, elders have blessed that bench. The ancestors have spoke to the elders, and they have given her carte blanche to go ahead and do what she does. Because when elders are attracted to you, there's something there. I believe that elders want to pass on a lot of what they've learned over the years, good and bad, because they want to be able to leave something behind. And with that bench, when the elders come and take a break and take a rest, they share with her. And I believe that is the way God speaks to us as well. He will send messages through others to bring them to us. And I believe that's what's going on with Chef Danielle. Plus, she's putting in the work. Please don't forget that part. We tend to forget that part. We pray a lot, we ask for a lot, but we tend to forget that we need to work a lot as well. So, Ethel and Annie Mae's Soul Food Kitchen, owner and operator, Chef Danielle Moore, at BK Chef Danielle on Instagram, at Ethel N with an N, not AND, and Ethel and Annie, Ethel and Annie Mae on Instagram as well. All right, 497 Albany Avenue, Crown Heights, Brooklyn. Okay, let's get this started, guys. Now, you guys know I am on multiple platforms. So because I'm on multiple platforms, I may not be able to see all of your responses. And if I cannot, I will definitely come back. Make sure that you at me. So that way, if you want me to respond something directly or quickly, make sure you tag me and I will definitely come by. So let's talk about this today, right? Because a little bit later on this afternoon, I will be traveling up to New York. Something that I've done hundreds of times, travel up and down this road between New York, New Jersey, and Delaware because I have family, friends, and stuff in between. But I moved from New York in 2016, summer of 2016. It is now the summer of 2021. I have been home all of 2 times. 3, because Tiff had to take her road tests. The other first 2 times it was more for business. I had to go up to get paperwork straight for my teaching credential. So that was in 2016. I think the last time that I have been up in New York is 2018. And the reason why, yeah, Paul, I'm going to be, I'm looking at it here on Facebook. I'm going to be at East Meadow. I'm bowling at East Meadow tomorrow at 2 o'clock, bruh. I'm going to see what I can do. It's going to be hard because I don't know how much time I have, but I got you, my man. I'll be at East Meadow tomorrow. I'm coming up with one of the young teammates that's on my squad to expose him to New York bowling, man. And I'm going to suit up too. I'm going to see what happens. Listen, I got a low average. I'm going to see if I can make it work. But one of the things that I wanted to share is when I came up last in 2018, my mother was in the hospital, and a good friend of mine, a teammate of mine, was in the hospital battling cancer as well. Both of them are no longer here. And I knew when I was leaving each hospital that there was a good chance I was never going to see either one of them alive again. I understood that. Tournament, not practice, bro. I'm not driving that far. It's a tournament, my dude. Yeah, I'm coming at the bowling at the 215 and under at East Meadow tomorrow, 2 o'clock. And I knew when I left the hospital, I probably wasn't going to see them alive again. And I went through that same thing with my grandmother, who was at Franklin Hospital there in Long Island, New York. I knew that when I seen her last over 7 years ago, almost 8 years ago, actually 8 years ago, right before KO was born. No, I'm sorry, right before KO, we even knew about KO. My grandmother passed July 3rd. We found out that we were going to have KL July 5th. There's a whole story behind that. When you see me, ask me about it, I'll tell you. Thank you, Brother Otis. 2 o'clock, Paul. 2 o'clock, Paul. 2 o'clock at East Meadow, Paul. So I knew then when I was leaving my grandmother in the hospital, I wasn't going to see her again. A couple weeks later, got the call. So in this particular case, I don't react to death the way other people do, and it bothers other people, and I get it, and I understand it. It's also what helps me as a crisis specialist. So when I am counseling other people, my ability to keep my emotions in check or even non-existent for a degree. And a lot of people don't understand what they consider dismissive way that I deal with death. And I get it. And I don't try to explain it. I don't try to explain it to everyone because then they may not understand that I just don't react to death. I will joke and laugh when other people say, well, how could you play? I'm not playing. That's just how I deal with death. I also, for me, I know death is the end to the body. It's not the end to everything. Otis, you don't want that work, man. Stop it. When you're ready to lose some money, you let me know. You keep talking that foolishness. When you're ready to lose some money, it sound good. You keep talking. When you're ready to lose some money, let me know. But here's the thing. I didn't go to my mom's funeral because of COVID and because I wasn't dealing with a whole lot of foolishness. I don't deal with about a lot of foolishness. I also don't worry about how people see or think about what I do. I don't. I actually don't care. Family or friends. And I know in being that way, and when I say that, when I say I'm not concerned when they project how they think, feel, or whatever. I always want to make sure I'm doing the right thing and trying to do the right thing. I may not always do the right thing. But what happens is when people feel the way they feel, they're going to project what they want. That's okay. You won't get it here. So when my mother had passed, the conversation was on how we were going to deal with some things. It spiraled down to some negativity. So I was like, y'all go ahead. I'm good. I'm not coming. Okay. I'm not. So this will be the first time traveling home. I spoke to my sister, and I was going to actually stay at a hotel. And my sister was like, no, come here and stay at the house. And for me, it was like, coming to stay in the house where actually being in my mother's room. So it's a lot. And I had to think about it. And, I have my wife and daughter with me and a friend with me. And I had to think about it. So I don't know how I'm going to feel. And the funny thing is, I have not had that. I guess, breakdown of emotion that a lot of people normally have when somebody passed. Have I been sad at times? Of course. Have I cried sometimes? Of course. But I just haven't had that shut down thing because I've never been that way. Like, to me, death is natural. Death is a part of this game. And I'm prepared for it because I think people don't take death as serious as they should until it's right up on them. But when I read the Bible and I think of David, if you remember when David's child was struggling for life, and it was the child that him and Bathsheba had, he created a child with a woman he wasn't supposed to be with, and lies that he had created to try to hide that child. Well, that child was dying within the first 7 days. And David was crying and praying hard. And the day that child died, David got up, brushed himself off, went to go get something to eat. His servant said, "But master, your child just died. How are you not emotional?" And David said, "No, I prayed, and God rendered his decision. And I will see my child again." And when I read that the first time years ago, it stuck with me, but even more so now, because it made sense, because that's how I feel. You do what you can do, and when God renders his decision, that's it. Now, many of us who claim to love the Lord, and I say claim because many of us are great at talking about it, but we don't actually practice it. Don't actually look at scripture or allow ourselves to let scripture guide us because we're too busy talking about it and not actually living it. If you believe there's a God, and again, key word, if you believe there's a God, then you also know that there's things outside of your control. And I don't stress that. I don't bug out on that. Appreciate it. Thank you, Flex. Appreciate it, Otis. And so for me right here, the reason why I'm even sharing this now is because somebody is struggling with how to deal with the emotion of somebody no longer here. I'm going to use that emotion. Now, I don't know if it's going to help me bowl better. I don't know that. Maybe I catch lightning in a bottle and do my thing. That's what I'm planning on doing. This is why I bowl. But I'm not going to trip. Now, will I maybe take a moment while I'm back home at my mother's house, my house where I lived at? Yeah, of course. But you let the dead take care of the dead and the living take care of the living. Do you know what that means? It means once somebody's dead, they're gone. I can't do anything about that. I can't bring her back. And when people say, if I could have her back, no, if I have her back, she's in the state that she was before she left. I don't want that. Just the same thing for my grandmother. She was dying of cancer. Do I want her back in that same state? No. What we want is we want the person back as we remember them. You don't get that. That's why you're supposed to live each day like it's your last. So you don't get the luxury of trying to hold somebody in place because it works for you. It doesn't happen. God doesn't allow that to happen because we would never let go. The natural order of things is you are born, you live, you die. In that order. Now, what you do in between all of that is on you. But once you are gone, that's it. And you can make it a sad occasion if you choose. You can allow it to rough you off if you choose. Or you can live with the memory of what you had and push forward. Now, are there going to be regrets? There's always regrets. It's a part of life. There's going to be things you go, oh, if I had just, we all could do that about everything. But the key is not to allow it to paralyze you. So you then can't do anything going forward. Jay, what's going on, bro? Good to see you here. And that's the thing. And so a part of me, when I thought about it, I was saying to myself, wow, this is the first time I'm coming home and my mother won't be there. Wow. I had to think about that for a minute. But then I realized I've already been through this when I was with my grandmother. Coming home to a home that she wasn't in. Visiting and talking to my mom. Let me see. I think when I moved, my grandmother, was my grandmother still alive? No. I was there at the house. Because I remember getting a call because my cousin and my mother was outside. And my cousin came around the corner and said, you know, your grandmother's no longer here. I said, okay. And she was a little shocked. It's almost like she was preparing or gearing up for me to be emotional. And I was like, thank you, I appreciate that. I kind of knew it was coming soon. And the first thing a question was, are you okay? I'm like, no, I'm good. And that same cousin is no longer here as well. So I miss her too. And the one thing that I think scares folks is because we don't know what's on the other side. Well, that's reason to do more on this side. So again, if you're joining me, I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, author, educator. And by now you should know I'm a man of God, and I try to be. I'm not always perfect, and yeah, I make mistakes. It's okay. I'm human. But I don't know who needed to hear this today. I don't know who's going through the loss of something. I don't know who's going through a struggle. And we all struggle. But my question to you is, how are you dealing with the struggle? Are you allowing the struggle to control you? Or are you working to get out in front of the struggle? I refuse to let anything that I can't control me. I'm not doing it. I have a big enough fight with myself. But I'm going to let things that I can't control, like COVID, I'm not going to let COVID control me. I'm going to deal within it. So will I have my mask on today? Yes, I will. I mean, tomorrow when I bowl? Yes, I will. And if I believe I can take it off, fine. And am I comfortable with bowling with a mask on? Nope. But I'm not going to use that as an excuse. I'm still going to suit up and do what I do. But I'm not going to take any chances. Will my wife have a mask on? Yep. Will my daughter have a mask on? Yep. Because I can control that. I can't control what goes on around me. Can I control my emotions? Yes. Is it easy? No. Now, you may hear me speak and sound like it's easy. I've said this before. Just because I speak well doesn't mean that the work is not hard. It's very hard. And let me tell y'all something right now. Get this understood. 90-something% of the people that are on social media are not giving you the full Monty of who they really are. Please understand that. Thank you, right now. Appreciate you, brother. Please understand that. So often some of the same people that you're jocking and going, yo, I want to be like them, they struggling worse than you. Trust me, I know. So the real question is, if you're a person of faith, what does that faith actually do for you? How do you incorporate that into your day-to-day? And if you're not a person of faith, if you're like, I don't have no time to be bothered with no sky daddy, I get you. Then how do you balance yourself? Because I don't close the door to my atheist brothers and sisters. Why? Why would I? If they choose not to believe what I believe, that's cool. So I would ask you, what do you use to ground yourself? And please don't tell me self-medication, because I get it. I get it. I like some wine too. I ain't messing with nothing else. No plants, no hard liquor. But whatever it might be, what is that for you? How do you deal with your emotions? And my doors are open to counsel anybody. My doors are open to counsel anyone because everybody needs somebody to talk to. Whereas my business coach says, shout out to Glenn P. Brooks Jr., we all need some help. That's why I have a hashtag that says we can fix this. So I don't know who needed to hear this today. I don't know who's struggling with something today. I don't know somebody who's still dealing with the loss of a loved one, mother, father, sister, child, whoever, and is having a difficult time getting past it. You don't ever get past it. You learn to deal with it. Your memories are your memories. And I love my mother. Love my mother to death. But once God made his verdict. Now, if you want to talk about regrets, I do have one. And unfortunately, I was here in Delaware and she was in New York. And the crazy part was, I was on video. I was on live, just like I am now, when I got the call and had to listen to her die. Because my sisters was yelling and screaming and the paramedics was working. And I'm powerless. And then they're like, oh, she's not breathing. And the paramedics are working on her. And they taking her to the hospital. And then I'm like, okay. And then 3 minutes later, I finally realized that my camera was on a Thursday night, tell you the truth. Yeah, I think it was a Thursday night. June 27th. I think it was a Thursday. My partner called me from the hospital. He said, yo, big dude, mommy's not here no more. I said, okay, cool. And I said, you all right? He said, my all right? You all right? I said, I'm good, bro. How my sisters doing? And I knew that they were going to have it tougher than I was. And they did. They took it very tough and still take it very tough. And I say all that to say this is that I'm not without feeling. So please don't take that from this message. I'm actually full of emotion. I'm very full of emotion. I just have learned that certain things don't need that energy when other things do. I'm emotional about the living. I'm emotional about the things that I can do right now, who I can help right now. Once God has rendered his verdict, I can't change that. But here's what I can do. And my beliefs, and again, if you're not a believer, I get you. My belief now is that I got to figure out a way to get myself right. So if when we all go, that I can be in a position that I see them again. I don't want to be somewhere else. Now, you may not believe in that. That's okay. I do. That's why I've never understood why people project their faith at other people. Why? I don't care if you don't believe in the Christian faith. Okay. Works for me. Why should it matter? But again, this is what we do. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I would dare to say maybe even tough. But thank God I got my wife with me. I got my little one with me. She's going to hang out with her cousins. I'm going to see my sister. Now I'm not going to be able to see everybody, and Lord knows I could be riding around all day seeing different people. No, I'm not doing that. And I didn't call some people. And some people will get mad. Yo, you came to New York and didn't see me? Yes. We want to tell you. Yes, I did. I came up on a Friday. I went to bowl on a Saturday, and I left on a Sunday. Am I going to be able to see everybody? Not at all. Will I try to figure out ways to do different things? Yeah, within reason. But my wife, I know, is going to want to see her brother and her father, and I'll figure it out. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take a few moments quietly. Probably knowing me, it'll be late when everybody is sleeping. Probably 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And knowing my family, they'll probably still be up. But probably after everybody is in bed, I'll probably go sit out on the steps, those steps that I've sat on many a times, or in the back where I sat when I used to try to figure out what I was going to do when I first got separated from my ex-wife. And I'll pay my grandmother and mother homage by just allowing my thoughts to be about them for a couple of minutes. And I'll have a conversation with their memories. I'm not having a conversation with them, by the way. And I don't mean to burst anybody's bubble. I don't want anybody to be like, "Why are you saying that?" No, you're having a conversation with their memories. Because if you're having a conversation with them, we might need to have a deeper talk. Because that's not part of my faith. So if you're talking to spirits, we might need to have a conversation. But the spirit can be told too through God, yes. But if your mother and they're literally talking to you, we might need to have a deeper conversation. I'm just saying, don't get mad at me. But their spirits, the memory of who they were, will speak to you. And when you sit down, you will be able to hear their voice because you'll remember what they would have said to you. I hear my mother's voice all the time and in different situations. And the beautiful thing is now that I'm older, more mature, and growing as a man, yes, 53 going on 54 years old, I'm still growing. Not big, I'm trying to get smaller. But I'm still growing as a mature man of God because I'm understanding seeds that they planted in me years ago that now come to fruition because I understand what God wants of me. And what God wanted from me is what he placed in those two women's spirit to pour into me, which is now what I pour into my daughter and I pour into everybody else that I work with. And that's how I honor my mother. That's how I honor my grandmother. Is trying to be a better me, a better version of me, a better me that God created. And if I can do that, then I've honored those two women for the sacrifices that they've done for me. So I don't know who needs to hear this. And I don't know who's struggling with this, but I would tell you this. If you want to be able to deal with some of the emotion of somebody that's no longer here, I want you to consider this paradigm shift, okay? And the paradigm shifts is simply as a mental shift. Let me give this to you. What I want you to do is I want you to consider what was the thing that they would have wanted for you. Are you with me? Okay, let's rock out. I want you to consider what your mother, father, child, or anything, any person that you lost, wife, husband, whoever. I want you to consider what would have been the thing that you believe they would have wanted you to achieve or to become in your lifetime. All right, you got that? I want you to think about it, take some time with it, and I want you to lock that in. And if you want to honor their memory, be all of that. Be all of that and then some. Now, I'll give you an example. My grandmother shared with me for years that I would preach this word. And I fought with her. Come on, Grandma, stop that foolishness. Ain't nobody gonna preach no word. And I would go out there and serve my God panties. Yes, my God was panties at one time. But here I am, 53 years later, without her. And I am exactly who God told her I would be. My mother wanted me to be the best teacher and to be a better father. Here I am. Have I made mistakes? Yep. Have I alienated some of my children? Yep. But I've asked for forgiveness. I've spoke to them directly, and I've left it in God's hands. But here I am, and I am all those things that she asked me to be. And I take their memories with me when I get out here and work with somebody else. And when I work with other children, when I work with their parents, when I work with other men, I pour into them what people poured into me. I did it when I was an educator for 20 years in the New York City school system. I poured into every child I work with, even the ones some of y'all call bad kids. Ain't no such thing as a bad kid. Misguided, because they all came out blank slates. Somebody allowed them to get that way. So that's somebody else's fault. And then after a period of time, it does become the child's fault because they embrace what many call bad. No, you can get through all that. You just have to know how. And so for those 20 plus years, I poured into every child. Negative or positive. I found a way to try to reach them or at least get on the same wavelength. So at least I planted a seed. Now, hopefully somebody came behind me, poured on that seed, and that kid grew into something. And the great thing now, 10, 15, 20 years later, I'm seeing some of these children in their 30s with children. And you know what? They turned out to be pretty good parents, even though you thought they were horrible kids. Somebody once told me I was the worst thing my mother ever had. Really? 7th grade teacher. Mr. Goldberg, I'll say his name. IS 72, right there on Guy R. Brewer Boulevard in South Jamaica, Queens. Count Basie Junior High School now, I believe it's called. He once told me I was the worst thing my mother ever had. How wrong could he have been? Because he didn't understand the God that I serve. But my grandmother did. My mother did. No, it's okay, bro. I appreciate that. Jay, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So again, before I get off of here, I want to say this to anybody watching. Death is final. But it doesn't mean that you are finished. Okay? Hear me again. I'll give you some tough love. Death is final. But it doesn't mean you're finished. Your story is still to be written. Take their memories. Take the memories you have of them. Incorporate them into your story. Add them to what you're going to do going forward. Allow their memories to push you forward. Be who they would have loved you to see, who they would have loved to see you be. And that is how you honor the day. I don't know who needed to hear this today. I don't know who's struggling with something today, but I would love to get on a call with you. I would love to talk to you. Reach out. Let's set up a time to sit down and talk, and let me show you how I do this. All right? I want you to have a wonderful weekend. I want you to be safe. I appreciate all the safe travels. I appreciate that. Yes, I will take my time going up the road. And I just want to say thank you. Thank you for taking the time out to even hang out with me today. All right? So I'm going to get ready to go. I am Keith K.L. Belvin, crisis specialist, award-winning author, educator. More importantly, I'm a man of God, and I'm going back home to my mother's house, and I'm going to hang out with my sisters and my little nieces and nephew, and we're going to have some fun. And I'm going to bowl tomorrow and make some money. Talk to me, Anthony. Take care, guys. God bless.